what's going on? Strat Soldier here with the weekend shift. And hey, it's been crazy. And if trading's been hard for you, don't worry about it because it's been inside month on the SPY most of the month. And QQQ and diamonds as well. It is nuts out here. So don't be feeling bad. And I tell you right now, daggone it, if I get one more question about how to trade 2.5 minute bars on this crazy on these crazy Fed reports and all this crazy price action, I'm going to go nuts and everybody's going to drop and do push-ups. I'm sick of it. Stay on the 30s and 60s, new people. Anyway, I got a really good one for you today. It's pre-recorded. I apologize. I know we always do this live, but the chat is live. So get in there, answer your questions, ask your questions, and then people in the chat are the regular crew that's always out here. We will answer them, and then we'll have fun. And then, post all your stuff on Twitter and everything else. And then we got the forums too. Don't worry, but don't forget about the forums. And if you want to get in with Rob and Smiths in the Black, there's type in Strat Soldier promo code 2022, and that's going to get you the first 3 months for $99 for the first 3 months. Okay, that's going to get you started. All right. And get in there, learn what buys and sells look like. I'll tell you more about what that comes with later on. All right, right now, let's go through what we do really fast. I have when I trade, I got 4 time frames up, just like this. The 4 major time frames: the month, the week, the day, and the 60. And when I have them all up just like this, it allows me to see time frame continuity, which shows me who's the most aggressive participation group right now. Red on the month, red on the week, red on the day, red on them 60s. That means they've been selling it all month. They've been selling it all week. They've been selling it all day, and they've been selling it pretty much every hour a day. Now, it's a pre-recorded show, so these 60s might be different by the time you watch this, but I want you to see what you're seeing here. All this shows me time frame continuity, okay? Very important. And a lot of times it's pretty underrated, okay? And also, if you're having trouble with trading, it could be conflict, okay? Where it's red on the month, red on the week, but it's also green on the day and the 60. You know what I mean? And so you always got to look at who is the most aggressive participants. Let's go through the scenarios real quick, and I'm going to turn the labels on for the kids in the back. Shout out to all the kids in the back trying to pay attention. I'm always trying to keep the show exciting and fun because it's hard for them kids in the back to pay attention. So I got to keep it funny. This right here is a scenario 1 right here. All right, I'm going to go through these real quick so you know what we're talking about in this show. This is scenario 1. Doesn't take out either side of this previous range, okay? Scenario 1. You always want to compare it to the previous candle to the left, okay? Then let's drop down here. You got scenario 2, only takes out one side of the previous range, okay? So you got 2 down, 2 up, right? This is a 2 down. This is a 2 up. Takes out one side of the previous range. And you see this right here? 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. The series of 2 is one direction. That's a trend, right? Okay. So if you got a bunch of 2s to the downside, or 2s to the upside, and you're trying to short stuff, it's going against you, right? Kind of makes sense. Now, scenario 3 takes out both sides of previous range. I want to find you a real big, fat, juicy one, but here's a 3 right here. And the strat is always repetitive, so you don't have to go too far. This is where they bought it up and sold it down, and it all closed right in the same time frame, okay? This is our battleground. And on the smaller time frame, this is a broadening formation, which is, to me, I think the outside bar, scenario 3 is the most important candle because you got to make a decision on this one. You can ignore your loser if you want. You get it. You take a scenario 3 to the face. You should be looking at your charts going, okay, do I want to keep this? What do I want to do? Scenario 3. All right. Well, scenario 3, be watching that one. Okay. That's a real quick down and dirty what we do, and that's the scenario is really fast. And so today on the weekend shift, I got the man himself, Rob Smith, and we are going to do something that was really special for me as well, and for Rob. But we're going to interview Ryan Faloona from Benzinga. And if you've all seen my my very first webinar with Ryan about the strat and what we do. He's here. So this is like part 2, an updated version of this of our journey, and it's awesome. What's up, Ryan? How you doing?
I'm doing good, my man. It's impressive to see how far you've come. So this is an honor for me as well, my friend. Thanks you very much for having me.
Awesome. I want you to know that I do have my laptop charged all the way up, so it's not going to die like it did during our show. I always have a plan B though, so you get ready.
Yeah, hey man, and you know what? When that happened, you handled that situation no problem. Don't forget the James Bradley interview. He did that from his phone. So you
That's true.
Stratters are resourceful people, and it's you guys. At the end of the day, we make it happen. So that's
That's
what we
right.
do.
That's right. We always keep our tights, our stops tight.
That's tight.
And if the trade I'm going with doesn't work out, hey, cut it. Just go with something else.
That makes a lot of sense.
Heck yeah. What's going on, Rob? The man, Rob Smith.
Right. This is good. It's like the interviewed become the interviewers. So I've been looking really forward to this for a while. And also, because I'm Rob, if we could go back to that spy chart you just showed, those four, I want to show you something.
Okay, yep. Give me a second here.
Important stuff today because it was in the Strat Time report today. But I want to be, when you go back to the four.
Yep. Let me turn off these labels and then scrunch this weekly back. Here we go.
Okay. So if you go to the daily, all right, to
right
the
here.
left, right? Yesterday was an outside day. That's a 3. That's something you want to know about because they're willing to sell down and pay up, right? So when we broke that to the downside today as a 2, that means that buying that was done over the highs yesterday is still getting rejected, right? We knew about that, right? And if that works, if you go to the weekly, right, that's going to re-break the lows of last week. That's that's something I'd want to know about. We're also inside on the month below there, but we're red, okay? So very important concept that people are asking me about all the time is, what do you mean by triangle layout? Okay, now go to 60. All right, you see that? You see that big long red bar to start the day?
Yep.
Okay, and then we got a green bar,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was actually a 2 down, but it was the green. Then the next one,
Right.
That's a 2 up, right? That's the triangle layout. You got their slight higher high, and when we took that out, we're going to the lows, right? Yep. That's a 2 reversal, and we are going to the lows. And we knew about that. It was a great day, but that's what I mean about triangle layout. You have a reversal against you, although the time frames are all going your way, and then you have a reversal back your way. And that's how you get in, as opposed to guys who are trying to break out and sell it in straight into the lows. Right there, we got them trapped, and then we let everybody else stop everybody out. So that was kind of an important thing today that we knew about. And it was also with full time frame counting to the downside, but that's what you wait for because it's a 60-minute chart. It's a 60-minute bar. I mean, you got an hour. You just sit there and do nothing and be like, not yet, not yet. Ready? Now. And that's in the chat room. Oftentimes you'll hear me wave a bunch of stuff off. Don't know. Now I know. There. Now I know. There. So it was a good day, and I know this is going to be in the future, but this happens all the time. All the time.
And I think it's really important for the new traders, especially new people in the room. Yes, it does answer what is a triangle layout, but it also shows it's a perfect example of how the participation groups changed right at the bottom of the 60. I got 10:30 because I'm Eastern Standard Time, but right at 9:30 Chicago time, green. They're buying. Here comes the next flip right at the bottom of the hour, and scenario 2, and then they dump it like you said. So you got 2-2 reversal back down. And so all the people that were here at 443 that I didn't get my puts, I missed it. Now it's coming back the other way. And now you got your second, now you have your opportunity. And like I said at the beginning of the show, if you just stayed on the 60s, you knew what to do.
Right.
Go ahead.
And that first 60, that big red bar down, what that created was called a measured move. And what I mean by that, I get this question a lot too. What I mean by that is it got hit hard, right? Which means longs are getting blown out, right? And if you had a real seller in there, which you do because you have time frame continuity, then he dumps his initial, right? The big sellers dump their initial boat. But then they held off to see if they get some better prices. We're not going to just press this thing down, but we are sellers, right? That was the first wave. And so then as it comes up to that doji, that T2 reversal, they're getting some price up there, but they got to sell. They're sellers. That's what they are, because we know they're there because they're full-time for kind of the downside. And they're like, all right, we got a few better prices, but we got stuff to go. Bam! Next comes a second wave. And then when you have the low of the doji, the low of the green, and the low of the red, the first 3 hours, now you got stop orders in there from guys who are trying to pick the bottom, right?
Yep.
So the sellers are triggering the stops, right? Which removes liquidity, which increases the speed of the downside, right? It's like, I got no liquidity and I got stuff to go, man. This is not good. this is not good for me. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And you always want to come back to the previous range, right? You hear me talk about that all the time. Stops, when you stop guys out, that removes liquidity. And when people are trying to do something, they don't like that at all, right? It's like, used to call them Sasquatches, the institutions. I'm like, they're big, they're fast, and they do not want you to see what they're doing. And they get pissed off when you do, right? that's why he's got stock to go, all right? And he's like, he does not need stop orders. He does not need us jumping in front of him. He needs just liquidity, and he's not getting it.
That's fantastic. Sasquatches. Heck yeah.
I like that one too. That was a new one for me as well. I like it though.
Squatches.
That's great. That's great. You want to keep looking at these charts?
No, I'm good. This was an important day with certain combinations of the 3-2 down on the day, and what that means. That we triggered that 2 down on the week, still red on the month, albeit inside, but it is red. And then how to time it exactly where you're not, like you said, I'm not on a 2.5 minute chart. I'm on an hourly chart, man. I can go have lunch and let this thing close out, and then be like, all right, boom, now.
Exactly. Kill it till it's dead. Heck yeah. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. I love it. Rob on here. I don't even have to say too much. Rob's going to do it all, and I'll just be adding in things. What's going on? Go ahead.
I really want to talk to Ryan because, like I said, we're turning the tables a little bit. He's done so much from the beginning of when he first heard of the strat to he actually did the interviews. So I'm like, when people I'm like, did you watch the Benzinga interviews? I'm like, watch them. I'm like, watch them. And and as you do, you slowly see the wheels turning in Ryan's mind, being like, okay. And
you know what else I want to add to that is that you can actually see that happen with me in several of the different interviews, which is its own thing. Full disclosure, I have my own hodgepodge strategy. I do not trade something that is strat dominant, but since meeting you guys, Jermaine, I scream in force when I break the low of candles in some cases, like all the time. Like you totally got me on that. And what the strat has really done for me is it's got me to look for and understand reversal patterns. And when it comes to short-term trading, especially day trading, which is not something that I enjoy, it's made me a lot better. So even taking one concept from the strat and applying it to my own trading has actually benefited me quite a bit. The other part about that is it's the wheels turning in my mind. The funniest thing, to this day, I still get emails of people that are asking for the PowerPoint slides because they've watched the replay 2, 3, 4 times. They want the slides. And you can tell in the email message that the wheels are starting to turn for them too. And they're starting to realize why this is powerful, why so many people do this, and why people are talking about it. Those videos that we did, man, that's evergreen. It's great. It's still producing emails and results.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome.
It was, at the time, Jermaine, Sarah, they were still pretty new, but they got it, and Andy Cole had been around for a while, but I didn't know, that he was doing it. But he kind of really set the stage for it, in my mind, because he wasn't totally talking the strat in the interview that I saw with him. But one thing when I listened to it, he was worried that I was listening to it. I'm like, no. He's like, and I was like, the one thing he did say, and this might have started the whole thing, was he's like, I got to say that I've never seen anything that produces more winners than the strat. That's what he said in that interview. And I was like, my man.
And one of the other cool things for me is that from talking to all of you guys, Rob, the one thing that you might not know yet is that prior to me even working at BZ, I have followed you for what has to be years. I started this journey in 2014. I probably started following you in 2015 or 2014.
Oh, wow.
And I remember you posted a picture after you got hit by a car on your bike or something like that years ago, like all this stuff. So I had followed you for a long time, and it took me a long time to kind of piece that stuff together. When I started here, one of the things I wanted to do was understand how different the traders are on FinTwit and try and bring their personalities and trading styles to the forefront, because for me, it's important to teach others that there isn't just one right way to do things. You have got to, especially when it comes to trading, you have got to be able to manage your emotions, manage your risk, and all of that stuff. And as I started to watch you guys more and more, I realized, wow, each one of them does it a little bit different. And it works for them. This is a concept that I want to bring to people, because anyone can do this. If you guys take the time to learn it and apply it and follow your rules, anyone can do this. And you had mentioned, Joe, totally different than Jim, totally different than Jermaine, totally different than Sarah. And I think it's totally different than you, Rob. I mean, nobody quite has your energy, let's face it. But the trading styles are all a little bit different. And it's really cool that you figure out all these different ways to make it work.
Yeah, that's, and that's one of the part of my job is, people will come to me and they're like, well, how do I trade the strat? I'm like, first of all, I got to find out who you are and get your strat profile, personality down, right? Because a lot of people will come in and they want to learn every aspect of the strat, and I want to know everything. I'm like, no, whoa. Like, who are you? Like, are you managing a 401k? Are you scalpy whelpy? What are you? And I was very happy we had our guy at Strat PFC recently realize that he's not a 30-60 guy. He's a 1 or 5er guy. And I'm like, ninja after all. That started to work for him. I'm like, all right, maybe, your attention span is that quick. And be like, all right, I just want it to go from here to here in the next 5 minutes, and I'm good. I'm like, okay. So that's a big aspect of it. Like you said, when you interview all the different people, part of what I need to do, and that's why I always tell people to communicate with me. I got to know what you're doing, right? Don't tell me you're losing, right? Tell me what you're doing, what your thought process is, and how you're setting up, and what are you following, right? Because I always tell people, I'm like, I can fix anything. I just got to know what I got to fix, right? I can't fix somebody telling me I lose, but you're not telling me why or what you did. Right. And that's where also, like in the chat, say, look, once you understand who you are, then you understand the people in the chat that make sense to you, that are doing what you do. And then you read that. You don't care what he says. You don't care what he says. You don't care what she says. Here's the guys that do the same thing you do. Right. That's going to make sense to you, because I'm talking to a large audience during the day, and there's people that have never posted. They're like, Rob, we know what to do. You just keep talking. And because of that, once you find your strat personality, identity, you extract only what I'm saying that matters to you. You say, I care less about, I care less about these things going to the highs or the lows. I'm only doing this. And when Rob says this pertains to what I did, right? Because I can't customize the whole thing and be like, it's like some chats like, okay, everybody, we're all buying NVIDIA. I'm like, no. No, that's not how it works.
Nope.
Right? It's like, all right, this is for you guys. This is for you guys. This is for you guys. And one of the most important things that I've gotten the point across more recently to people is patience. It's the hardest thing to teach. It's one of the hardest things to have, but you can make your whole week in an hour. You can make your whole month in a day. If you just
all right. So I got a tip. I got a tip for you with this. This has actually worked for me. You want to learn how to teach someone patience. You want to learn how to get patience yourself. Stop spelling it the way it's spelled in the dictionary. Add the Y after the A. Patience with the Y. And then what happens is that once you're patient and you get paid out, you're like, Oh yeah, okay. This is why everyone is telling me to do that. The light bulb literally goes off. You just start. I can't remember. I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and they've been like, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you show me how pro can help? Can you do this or that or whatever the case is?" And I tell them to stick with it. I tell them to keep learning. Don't give up. And eventually, they come back and they're like, "Man, I hit this. This is. I made all that back. I'm looking back. I'm going to see. I'm like, see, patience with a Y. You took the time to do it. You didn't try to rush it, and boom, it paid off. That's my tip to you. Start spelling it with a Y. People are going to listen to you a little bit more. See if that works for you. It worked for me.
I like that idea. Definitely. We'll get that copyright.
Patience with a Y. Heck yeah, I like that a lot. Because honestly, you want to talk about slow trades, doing macro trades, doing me sitting on Ford, hammering force on the year. Ford was on my freaking watch list all year last year, and everybody will tell you, lots of people will tell you, I was the only one talking about Ford. Me and Rob would, when I first started calling out Rob, I was like, yeah, Grandpappy stocks, like heck yeah, Grandpappy, and I just kept sticking with it, and I would hold it until it would. And I mean, I would love to say I bought it right at $9 and held it till it went to 25, but no, I worked it. I worked the weeklies until, okay, 2 down on the week. All right, cut it, take my profits. Because Ryan, it's still the same. I got a wife, I got kids, I got a cat. I can't stare at the charts all day long. And if I ever get a room in Sepia Group, it's gonna be pretty boring because we're like, all right, let's look at our setups for the quarter. Okay, see you next quarter.
Well, that's actually that's a real thing right there. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like day trading. I don't really care for it. If I had my choice, I would do nothing but invest and swing trade, because when I'm patient, when I have time in my favor, I simply do better. But you know what? I got to play the hand that I'm dealt. Sometimes the market doesn't give a damn about that. You trying to swing things long in a market like this, you can get your face ripped off. So yeah. I have to day trade. And the other thing is when you get a community, the community is always in the moment, right? So you want to be able to apply whatever disciplines you have with the market to an intraday situation. So I don't like day trading. I do it all the time. I had several day trades this week where I'm watching the level 2. I'm watching for the top of a candle to get taken out. Boom, new day high. I'm in. I'm out 10 cents later. You do that a couple of times to add up over the week. So it is what it is. Sometimes when you're in a room, if it feels boring, you're probably doing the right thing, because you can very easily overtrade. And in a market like this, where it's choppy like this, forget about it.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I still say I'm a tank, but on top of my tank, I got a machine gun, and I will get on that thing and take some puts on AMD real quick and move on. And then I'll get back in my tank. I'm back on XLE. That, you know what I mean? Back in SOB. I'm doing my long positions. I take my day trades real quick.
A+ choice memes too, by the way, with the tank. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. Okay. A+.
So another problem that people will have, and I've been reiterating, especially this month, I say this all the time. Every hour is like a new day to us. When things occur matters. And so a lot of people don't understand that and say, oh, well, if it breaks my level, I'm getting in. I'm like, you got 2 minutes until there's a new 60, 30, and 15-minute bar coming into the flip. That's something you need to know. And I'll tell you why. A few reasons. One, automated trading needs to be told when they're going to do stuff. And you're going to see stuff turn on and off on the new 15s, new 30s. Are they still buying? Are they negating it? Are they taking profits? Right? That's important to know, right? So also, it's perception. And what I mean by that is that people are looking at charts and their perception is about to change when that happens, potentially. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say that you break above a certain level and it's a green bar. No one in the world is going to say that looks bad, right? They won't. They'll be like, oh, it's breaking into new highs. Nah, in another minute, you're about to have a new bar. Now, if that thing takes out the lows of that green, the best looking chart is now the worst looking chart, like that, right? And that's your broadening formation. So you want to know when the perception potentially changes for people that are looking at the charts, right? And you'll see that a lot. And you're like, oh, it's a breakout. Now I'm going to wait for a pullback. I'm like, here's your pullback. Bam. Bam. I'm like, you want to buy it now? No.
That's awesome. That's what I'm talking about, Rob. And I want to see Ryan. I said this with Dan on Trendspider, an interview that aired last night, and I want to see if you had the same experience. But it's really hard after you know what a 2-2 reversal to the downside looks like to hold on to a position that can potentially turn into a loser really fast. I mean, even if you don't trade the strat, to be able to see, okay, my 2 bars were green, just like Rob was saying, and then here comes the new 60. Now it's 2-2 reversal down. But I mean, the way it's been trading lately, I mean, it's been, so is it how, in your experience, after seeing these reversals move in the scenarios, even though you don't primarily trade the strat, does it help? Does it allow you to, like, I don't know, do you think about the candles different? I guess I should say.
Yeah, totally think to absolutely. And I mean, the one thing about it that's really beneficial is that, like, if you do like a classic technical analysis, like, you can get bogged down with all types of stuff, these different formations and this and doji and all this other stuff. The strat is easy. 1, 2, 3. That's it. And I'll tell you something else. When you're actually in the moment and you're trying to make decisions about what you're doing here, when it's that easy, you're going to make better decisions and you're going to do that more consistently. That's absolutely something that I've done. In the example that you just said, where you've got a green candle, it goes up, it breaks the new high, it's looking good, and then all of a sudden it starts to turn back around. You know how many times you'll say, okay, I don't want this trade to go red on me, so I'm going to stop out at break even, and then it goes red by like 3 or 4 cents, and you're like, yes, I did it. I didn't let the trade go red, and then it just goes boom back to the other side, and you're like, now I'm out. What the hell happened? Like that you know how many times I've seen that? And you know how many that's happened to me a whole bunch, where I've been looking at my computer, I've been like, are you kidding me? How did that happen? I had this plan. I read all the damn books. Like, we're above the moving average, the VWAP, like everything's good. But it's just, there's other factors at play here. And the flip was actually one of the things, I still don't think I have a complete grasp of that. It was one of the last things that I learned is especially when I'm going to take a lot of times when I'm day trading, I'm watching a 5-minute chart, a 1-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, and a daily chart. Those are going to be the 3 that I'm trying to put together. I'm aware of when all of those windows turn over now. Sometimes with the 15-minute chart, because I don't use it as much, I have to look at the clock or something like that. But otherwise, I'm ready for that. And being aware of that has actually stopped me from doing something that is going to get me absolutely slapped. And when you're able to play effective defense, then you can start playing effective offense. And that was probably one of the things that I got later on in my journey. I still don't think Rob, you were explaining how some of the different candles flip at different times, bottom of the hour, top of the hour. I'll be honest with you, I can't remember all of that, but I'm absolutely paying attention to when those candles reset, because stuff that none of those indicators show you happen when those candles turn around, or when those candles open up.
Yeah, that was when I met Dan at Trendspider, and he walked in my office, and I said hello, and he's like, hello. And it's like, the first thing I said after hello was, do your 60s update at the top or the bottom of the hour?
That's it.
Asked me that, and he's like, bottom of the hour. Good answer.
That's hilarious.
When I showed him the strat, he started a program, and he's like, these 2-2 reversals happen a lot. And I'm like, yeah, they do. Like, yes, they do. And then going back into more analogies on, like, you're talking about doing the shorter term stuff like that. And we're talking about the macro with the quarterly and the month and the yearly charts and stuff like that. And so the good thing about staying on a macro list too is not only does it give you a longer signal to pay attention to, like $4 year, stuff like that, but it's akin to World War II, when we landed on the beach in Normandy, right? Once we got there, we're good to go. We're going to Berlin, man. It's like, it's going to happen, right? And every time we advance, we go, and we got tons of troops, and here we come, right? As opposed to the day trading where you're scalping against, other guys like this. But once you have those major troops and be like, this is telling me we got major battalions, we've got institutions, these guys are taking this thing up, right? That's what's happening here. And so enables people to, because you always have, how do you formulate your watch list, right? And so the like when Ryan, what you're saying is enforce is important, right? Well, if this is enforced all year, then I don't have to do all my research. This is good. I'm just waiting for them to triangulate out and set them up again, and off we go. As opposed to the more active day traders got to reset every hour, every half an hour, and be like, okay, now what's going to happen? Now what's going to happen? And so there'll be a lot of people that just stay on that. I mean, I had 800 views or whatever in the macro that I got out late this month, but we'll have a new one coming up in a couple of weeks because a lot of people like that. They're like, look, I got another job, dude. I can't sit here and I don't want to sit here and bang. I want to know where these real big signals enforce it. And you look at FSLY in the earnings, ooh, ZM inside year and down, murder. And they're like, oh, I can't short ZM down here. It's already down $250. I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Still,
how many? Yeah, how many people has tried to bottom pick Facebook, and we get on Twitter every night and we go 2-2 reversal on the year, Facebook to the lows. I'm telling you, Ryan, people are still out here trying to catch the sword.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I've been there. I've tried. You know how many times I've tried to catch a falling knife for a while? That was one of my better strategies. I'd actually trade option. I'll give you a specific one. It was I'd hear reports of Apple's iPhone is going to be slow this year because channel checks indicate that supply is tough. And I'm talking about before the actual supply chain issues that we're seeing now. We're talking years ago. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, okay, come to daddy. Let's go. As soon as the stock price comes in, load up those calls. You can literally be up 30-40% in a matter of minutes. And when you're leveraging capital with options, that can get pretty crazy. If you keep your stops tight, even if you're wrong, you're able to get out. What I didn't realize at the time is that a lot of that is trend based, right? And when you guys are talking about time frame continuity, you're also talking about trend. If it's up on the week and it's up on the month and it's up on the year, are you really trying to short that and get in front of that train? I mean, that seems dumb. And so, like, a trend, you can look at a daily chart and see like the slopes and figure out a trend. But when you start flipping through all the different time frames and you realize this thing is in force right now, like it does not want to go down. Why would you try to play it to the downside? And the same is reversed on the other side, right? Why am I, when everything is getting sold off, when I'm looking at Fastly, what, even in since the new year, it's down from what, $60, $20 here. Upstart down from 400 down to, like, why am I trying to long this stuff when it's getting absolutely destroyed? And then, of course, Upstart reports earnings. It's up 30% because it's been something that's been absolutely destroyed for the past month and a half or whatever. Like, I'm just, the time frame thing has really, really helped me with trends. I don't want to jump in front of a trend in the wrong direction. I'll wait for it to reverse. I'll wait for the 2-2 reversal to be confirmed before I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm not gonna jump in front of a moving train. It's not gonna
either way, yeah.
Because people who are doing that are fighting twos and just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
You're like, look, this is a 2 down. Get to know that, right? If you go on the bottom,
wait.
There'll be a reversal, but you have to have one, right? Because most people are outside of the strat are vague on what a reversal is and say, okay, well, it's a non-confirmation. I'm like, it could reconfirm. It could get oversold. I'm like, and then knowing what a reversal looks like, the 2-2 reversal, wait for that. Because Facebook actually had one on a daily that we took long. And I was like, we're not going to hold that because everything else is down. But on the daily basis, now there's your day, right, to go long. But then as soon as it's back down, hey, Meta buddy, back to the bottom.
meta puker. And I made it. Meta puker. I love it because Rob does talk to the day traders. He's like, hey, we got 2-2 reversal up on the daily for Facebook. It's going to the highs, and I made it a point to say it in the chat, and I also put it on Twitter. I'm not touching this thing until it goes 2-2 up on the week. Then you got my attention because I'm looking at and I'm trying to give a little bit more support to the swing traders, give them a voice too. Like, hey,
sure,
this is not, if this ain't you right now, don't do it. Like, a lot of people are like, you need to be looking for the monthly and the weekly to be green first. The buyers are in there first before you start trying to, people are trying to take these 5-minute bars and hopefully that grows under these big giant monthly things. Like, you're doing it backwards. I want to be where the buyers are now. And daggone it, if they're buying GIS with General Mills, I'm buying Captain Crunch before I'm buying Palantir, okay?
Right. And for me, with the Facebook guys, I'm like, hey, how long is this in force? I'm like, today. Can I hold it overnight? No. Right now.
But see, Rod, that's important because that's knowing your macros, right? That's knowing the environment that you're in. There's no way that you're going to be able to do that without looking at other time frames. There's no way you're going to be able to have that context. You have to be aware of what this thing is doing on larger time frames. And that again, that's a revelation that I had from you guys. So
yeah, and there's no better. Well, there's always a better one, but there's no better right now that I can think of. RPLX. This was inside month and down, and got Roy 212 reversal on the month. We knew about it all month, and here they come. I'm like, ooh, it's getting cheap. I'm like, is it on sale yet?
Roblox. PayPal was another one. Like they were like,
PayPal I lost on. I try, you know what? PayPal's I'm glad you brought that up because
let me bring up the charts.
Yeah. If you can bring it up. Okay. So we have earnings. We have that huge gap down, right? So when you get that daily up, I'll take a look. I'm looking at it on my screen here. I'll show you. You guys tell me how the strat could have saved me in this losing trade. This was a losing trade for me, right? So you got your daily in that upper left corner. Back out a little bit so we can see the earnings gap down.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
That's way back.
Yep. Nope. You got it right there. You got it right there. It's that E.
Let me get you the big giant chart and then zoom it in.
So
zoom it in for the kids in the back here. Hold on.
You got it.
Bam.
Okay. So here's the thing. So PayPal gaps down. I'm of course not in a rush. I love PayPal. This is a company that I like. I use it all the time for a lot of different things. Have used it for almost 2 decades now, probably 15 years. Love the company. They report this terrible earnings. The market's killing them. The last thing that I'm trying to do is play the bounce on that day because that's just not my thing. I'm going to wait this out, right? So the next day we get that other 2 candle down, right? That red candle, right? Now again, that is like the freight train downside, right? I'm trying to play to the upside. We got a freight train downside. I really like this company. I think it can reverse it any minute. Well, look what happens the next day. We get a 2 and it looks like it's going to go up. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is a hammer. This is we good, fam. I'm gonna get calls. We're gonna bounce and look. Oh man, look at these candles. We take out that top of the 140. We're in force into the gap. Oh my God, these calls are gonna print. Well, what happened? The next day, that thing opened, started to trade up. I was like, here we go. This is going to work. This is totally going to be fine. Nope. Just get immediate reversal. Pounds the downside. Now, and in my case, as soon as we clear out the bottom of that hammer candle right there, I'm out. Like, I'm just, you know what? Yeah. Take the L because if this sets up again, I can buy it, right? This is how I'm going to keep my losses small. And it takes out that candle. And guess what happens? Exactly what Rob said, 20 minutes ago. You know how many other people were looking at the bottom of that candle? As soon as that got busted, stops are getting hit. We accelerate the next day, trades down again, tries to bounce the day after. Nope. Get out of here, baby. We're going down again. And it's just, I was just like, the whole time I'm thinking, PayPal looks like it's getting cheap. PayPal looks like it's getting cheap. It's a good company. Nope, we're not ready to reverse yet.
No, I like Sarah likes to say, pivot machine gun to the downside. I like to say falling down the stairs. PayPal falling down the stairs on this one, boy. Holy crap. Man.
So what's important about this chart is going to the 3 days coming into the earnings. You'll notice those 3 big green bars. Do you know who's short coming into the earnings? Nobody. Who's long? Everybody.
Yeah.
That's these guys dumping, trying to get out, right? When you see that type of move in the bad earnings, nobody's short. Then nobody was going to hold this thing from 155 to 175 short, betting that they were going to lose. But everybody gets long because they're all profitable. Now you get that gap. These guys are scrambling. Get me out of this thing. And then just like Facebook, where with Facebook, I'm like, you already have the top. Look, you see that run up? It was red that day before, but you can see that run up right before the earnings came out. Look at that. Yep. You know who's short for this? Nobody. And then once they come out and they say, we don't make any money, and we already know this year that they're talking about rising interest rates and growth stocks are getting murdered, and you're a growth stock and you don't make any money, Done. And so you've got a lot of big boys trapped in here, and that's why you continually see this unloading. Like, man, we can't hold this thing. Like, I don't even know what it is. I'm like, well, we're meta now. I'm like, what the hell's that?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. I'm with you guys.
I'm like,
meta, it's you can virtually see your profits going away. That's what it is.
Yeah, okay. That's the best definition I've heard so far, Jermaine. Way to go. That's right.
Once again, if you go to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th candle after the gap.
After the gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There you go.
There it is.
Up and boom, down we go, boy. Like right back down.
Shooter. And that's where I would say, okay, say you're trying to let me do a Ryan Faloona, okay? I'm a brand new stratter. My name is Ryan. I got beautiful sure, I got amazing chest hair. I'm amazing. I'm Ryan Faloona. I'm kidding, Ryan. I'm kidding. We like to have fun out here. But let's just say I got 2-2 reversal back up. Okay, things are good. Right at 225.55. I'm going long. I'm hitting this thing, common or calls or options or whatever I'm doing. I'm going up. All right, awesome. Now the third day, it opens up and continues to go up. But then they start taking profits. These are daily charts. They start taking profits on the 60s, and now I have a shoot. I got in way down here. Okay, and I put my stops down here. Now, here's a shooter, and I know for a fact a shooter is an actionable signal, okay? Now, that's set up for a 2-2 reversal to the downside, and I don't care what anybody shows me, there is no way I can, like, make myself hold through a shooter in force on a daily, especially after it goes in force. Right here at 220.65, and, like, even if this wasn't a loser and all you did was just break even, you still know where to put your stops, which is right below that shooter. And okay, so maybe I didn't make a ton of money on this thing, or maybe I just got stopped out where I just made a few bucks where I thought I was going to make a ton or was going to go up to the highs. I mean, I'm telling you, the strat shows you, like you said, Ryan, how to, okay, I'm in this thing. Nope, it's not working. Time to get out. And like Rob says all the time, there's people out there that are ignoring their losers. And just like it says in the first 10 minutes of the show, slide 1 of the Benzinga interview, this is where I got in at, and I started holding, and now this is where the price is at, and now I'm still holding. But the strat says, here's my 2-2 reversal to the downside. I get out at 266.81. Unfortunately, there's no profit in this one. We're just saying I cut it, I walk, and I don't have to deal with any of this crap down here. I mean, that's huge, man.
Yeah, and so the one thing you just said in that sentence you just said, unfortunately, there's no profit. Well, you know what? Fortunately, you didn't take a huge loss. All right.
Exactly.
So let's look at it from both sides, because not everything is going to go in your direction. And if you're practicing a system or some type of discipline that's telling you how to keep yourself safe, because I don't care what strategy it is, nothing's 100%. Right. You look at all those guys in the earnings that looked like they were long into earnings. Nope, that thing tanked. Right. So there's no even the big institutions, they're going to get it wrong. If your strategy is something that's going to keep you safe and keep you protected, learn that part first, because protecting your capital should be the most important thing. Every one of us should be doing that every single day we sit down at the computer. This strategy allows you to do that. And if you take time to study those rules, you're not going to be sitting there holding this at 206 or whatever it is when you bought at 220 being, oh my God, how am I going to tell my wife this? Like, you're just not, that's not going to happen like that.
Exactly. 100%. And you said it. That's it. You said it. That's perfect.
The first thing when I took to the headset, I was trading for 20 years before I ever got on the headset. And I said to people, they came to the chat room, and I was like, I'm going to teach you people how to not get killed. And they're like, what? I was like, we'll get to the money-making part later. Right now, you need to understand how to not get killed. Like, all right. And they're like, what? And I'm like, look, here's how you don't get killed. Here's risk management. Here's how you do this. Here's how you don't get slaughtered, right? And then we'll get to the money-making part. And so another important part of the strat is magnitude. How far is something going to go? Because oftentimes people will be right, but they'll get out too early, right? Because they don't understand how far something we can expect it to go. So in this Facebook example, you can see that yellow arrow, that shooter down, right? And so where's it going to go? I'll tell you where it's going to go. Remember how I talked about perception and how charting is going to change by time? Now, if you took that shooter the next red day and the third day after that, if those were a 3-day bar, they'd be an outside bar of the previous 2, right? That's important to understand because the broadening formation isn't a formation per se. It's a phenomenon that happens. Sides of one range get tested, and then if that fails, they test the other side. That's what happened. And then you see the next day it pops up a bit. We call that exhaustion risk. It did its job. When that shooter goes down, even though it didn't make it on that second day, that third day, we're going to go take out that low. That previous low. We know that. Then we don't know. Maybe it keeps going, maybe it doesn't. But we want to know how to gauge how far something's going to go, because that can keep you in a trade. It can help you add to things. Because I said this a lot, a lot of blowhards out there will be like, I told you it's going from here to there. But then when it gets up there, he's like, I'm selling out my last piece. I'm like, well, if it's going up there, how come you were selling? I'm like, you didn't know. You didn't know. If you knew, you would be long as you ever been up there, right? But this is how you can gauge magnitude, which is very important. Obviously the risk management is very important as well, but knowing how far something's going to go. I'm like, if this doesn't reverse against me, this thing's still good. And if it's still good, where's it going? Up there, down there, right? And then it does, and then I don't know. I'm like, once, you'll hear me be very certain about certain things, simultaneous breaks. And I'm like, is this market going down? I'm like, oh, no way. No way. When we have a concentration of like 90% of stocks are 2 up on the day, I'm like, is this going down? No way. No. Not today. Right? Not today. So a lot of important aspects, like I say all the time, like, you don't have to be the master of everything strat. And it's great to take time to listen to all the interviews to see who resonates with you. And say, well, not everybody's going to be a Jim Bradley. Like, oh, okay, nobody.
Yeah.
But he will have aspects that will, play to you. And then you'll listen to Dee and you listen to Sarah and you listen to Jermaine and Joe and all the people that have done these and be like, somebody's going to resonate with you, right? Arturo, whoever it may be. And once they do, then you can get into your own groove. And that's one of the great things that I've loved about the strat getting so big on Twitter and just constantly. And now we have the weekend shift where you have all these other guys you can listen to.
You have guys in the Benzinga community, Rob, that showed up to just a traditional discussion about stocks that are like, hey, can we cover the strat? Can we go over the strat setup? I mean, it's spreading because it's easy to understand. You were just talking about finding someone who trades like you and watching them and learning from them. That reminds me of sports. If I'm a hockey player, I'm not going to learn a whole lot watching Usain Bolt and Chris Gatling run. Okay. If I'm a hockey player, I want to watch Wayne Gretzky. I want to watch Sidney Crosby. I want to watch the greats. And it's like that for trading too, right? So if your strategy is you feel like you're just man on fire and you're literally breathing fire, then maybe James Bradley is the one that you should watch. If you're going to approach something with a little bit of a smaller account, you want to be a little conservative, you don't want to take huge losses, maybe Jermaine's going to resonate with you. And there's a wide range in between. And like you had mentioned Dee. One of the things that was shocking about Dee is she had this entire thing down to a system. I think that she seemed like she was the most in control of some of any of the people I've ever talked to. She doesn't seem like, I've never met her, so I don't know, but she does not seem like she panics at all. And I can't even imagine how valuable that is when you're trading. And it's like, she has a system. She knows exactly what she's trying to do. She knows exactly what she's looking for. And she's not panicking when things don't go right. That's going to keep you profitable. That might be a personality trait that somebody should go after. That whole thing, follow the stuff that resonates. That's how you're going to learn stuff. And then once you have the foundation built, then you can start adding on the cool furniture from watching the other interviews as well.
Heck yeah. That's great. That's a great way to put it. Heck yeah. That's good. I like that sports analogy. If I want to be Dr. J and start slam dunking on people, I'm not going to go watch Wayne Gretzky. That's hilarious.
Exactly. Wayne Gretzky probably hasn't dunked on anyone, but that's funny. It's the entire history and points. It's just unbelievable. So,
and then our whole audience is like, okay, who's Dr. J? I'm like, oh, great.
Oh no, hey, again, you said I was too positive. Always looking up. Okay. Always looking up. If you just said to yourself, who is Dr. J? You are going to have one hell of a night in front of you with YouTube. Go get yourself a beer or wine or whatever it is. Sit down in front of YouTube and watch Dr. J, and then come back and be like, hey, Jermaine, now I get it. Now I get it.
I saw 2 of his last house calls at the Chicago Stadium.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a trump card if I've ever seen one right there. That old Chicago Stadium, Rob, where you're hanging from the rafters up in the upper. Yeah, that's money.
Right. Well, actually, I was 9th row center court. My dad got season tickets the year they became a team in '66. So I saw Jordan. I saw everybody from 9th row center court. So I was very lucky.
Yeah, I wish I knew you back then, man. I grew up on that.
I love it. I love it when the chat gets slow. We haven't done it in a while, but the chat will get slow. Let's just say inside 60s all day long. Boring, right? And then Rob starts entertaining everybody so that we don't do stupid stuff. Because that's why I'm there. He gets a Rob, I'm on a bottom pick Facebook. And he's like, inside day, no. And he's like, hey, you want to know who I met before? Bootsy Collins. He's like, guitar player from Rage Against the Machine. Hulk Hogan. Like if Rob hasn't met you, you're nobody. So that makes me feel amazing because he knows me.
Today's getting better and better, folks.
Cool, because always, there's often times where I'm like, look, guys, part of my job is to keep you out of trouble. If you know what you're doing, have at it. If you don't, and you're questioning a trade at all, do nothing. Right? Just do nothing, and we'll let it happen and let another flip come. And I'm like, great. I'm like, okay, well, don't worry. In another 90 minutes, we could have an inside 60. I don't know. Like, yeah. If you don't know, nothing.
Do nothing. And it's amazing how many people don't ignore. They just want to trade something. And then Rob will just say, did you guys know that potato salad was invented in Omaha in 1885 and start laughing? Like, why is that funny, Rob? But when you're trading, this guy just told me a fact about potato salad and started laughing. Okay, I'm not going to buy this. I'm not going to buy Facebook at the lows. I'm fine. I'm okay now.
I believe the Reuben sandwich was also invented in Oklahoma. Actually, no, it might have been Nebraska. Now that I think about it. In any case, I digress. Anyway, sorry.
Because another common mistake that a lot of traders make is that, especially if you're desperate, because I know I was, is like, I got to make some money. I'm like, so what are you doing? What are you doing all weekend? Pouring through the charts. It's like, what do you got on Monday morning? My best ideas. And I'm like, it's Monday morning, and they come in, yeah, boom, 3 killed. And you're like, and then by the time the actual setup occurs, they're already beat up, they're already chopped up. They're like, I'm too tired. I'm not going to get in when it actually happened. And they just jump right in there. I'm like, look, if something's going to work, it's going to work for a while, right? It's like, unless you're just scalping it and be like, okay, well, I'm going to do this in the 5 minute or whatever. But if you scalp something that's really going to work and be a real big winner, there'll be plenty of entries. It's going to be working for days, right? And stuff like that. And that's why I do the Strat Attack on Tuesday, because the Strat Attack shows on Tuesday because there's a couple things I want to see on Tuesday. I want to see the things that have actual signals on the longer term time frames. I want to see things that were bought on Monday and then bought on Tuesday, because that tells me the buyer came in on Monday, he came back. I'm like, if you're going to be up 5 days in a row, you're going to be up 2 first. Or do I have a reversal and say the guys on Monday are now trapped and the Tuesday guys are rocking them to the other side and triggering other longer term signals to the downside. So that's why Strat Attack is on Tuesday. Just like in the mornings, I'll say, let them open. Let me have a first hour benchmark. That's our benchmark for the rest of the day. That first hour, what's this thing doing, right? And just so on Monday, that's my benchmark for the rest of the week. What's it doing? So if you look back at our SPY and Qs now, coming into Friday, we got a good chance of taking out the Monday lows tomorrow, right? Because we came up, we rallied, we got that outside day, and now boom, down to the downside. So it wouldn't surprise me to take those guys out, because another common fallacy that people think is they've been told that old pivot highs and pivot lows are support and resistance, as if that there's a bunch of sellers defending that high, as if there's a bunch of buy orders defending that low, when actually it's just the opposite. Everybody sees that pivot. Everybody in the world sees Monday's low, right? Guess where the long guy's stop is going to go? 1 cent below that. Right? So it's the absolute opposite of what most people think. And then that's why people are like, it broke support. Well, that's it. How come it just rallied back up to the highs? I'm like, because everybody's gone. Tuck them out. Now we can go back up.
Yep.
That's great. And that's why I love Rob, because if we have a thing in the Army, if you can't tell your grandma what you do for a living, you don't know your job. And so if Rob has the ability to take things that really big idea, like we're not talking about volume capitulation and oscillators and everything like that. No, Rob is saying, if I want this thing to be green for 5 days, I got to have 2 first. Like that's brilliant. It sounds like mind blowing, but it's just basic stuff. And then it's just basic. And then I had another one too. He just said it, but I mean, the 5 days, you got to have 2 first. You know, it's just it's amazing. And then, you know, again, Rob's not getting on the camera. He's not getting on the mic and saying, well, you know, we want to see what the earnings is and the news and the blah, blah, blah. He looks at the chart and goes, yuck, and moves on. Stuck inside doing nothing. Well, it's a triple inside day. And Rob's like, a 2-1-1-1-1 is not a thing. Okay. Move on.
Or, you know, like we were talking about before, the multiple time frames, where it's like, this could be a thing on the daily. And I was like, go to your weekly. What do you see? 3 dojis. I'm like, is this thing doing anything? Like, no. No. Nothing. All right. So you're micromanaging, right?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
You need to have the longer term chart, then you can narrow it down. Because when you do that, that's how you produce larger trades. Say, well, I'm just a day trader. I don't need to look at the longer term charts. I'm like, well, if you do and you're right, this thing's going mooning, right? This is going mooning, not your usual little scalpy walpy, right? You can hold this thing. You don't have to hold it overnight, but this is what big trades look like because you have the larger participants helping you out. One of the analogies I use for the time frame continuity that people have liked recently is football. I'm like, your monthly is your offensive line. Your weekly is your wide receivers and tight ends. Your daily is your fullback and running back, and the 60 is your quarterback. So the quarterback always has the ball first, right? The question is, does he have any friends, right? Does he have blocking? Does he have all this going, right? Yeah. So he might be able to scramble and do some things, but when you have all that working for you, that's how you win the Super Bowl. Like, here we go. And be like, so I'm a little scalper and I take my 2 yards here and my 7 yards there. But when you have the longer term time frames, that's when like broken. He's gone, right? It's a bigger trade, right? He's gone. Like all of a sudden, like the rev strat, I always say it's like a screen pass. Like back here, let them run it and dump it over their head. Boom, gone, right? Reversal, right? And that's exactly what that is. You get these guys trying to bomb rush you, but you got all these other guys up in front and just off you go. So that's why I can't stress enough, you know, and maybe that's your style. You're just scalp. But ideally, you want to put yourself in the position that something's going to go a lot further than you thought, right? And when you use those bigger time frames, that's when good things tend to happen. And that's when you'll see like those macro charts come in and be like, it's like, oh, yeah, that was a nice inside day and up. I'm like, rev strat year, boy. Boom, everything's going, right? All right? We got everybody going, right? Because we're always identifying those aggressive participants, and we're always identifying those losing participants, right? Because losing participants have to do something eventually, right? Winners don't have to do anything. I can sit in this thing for the rest of the time. I don't care. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to hold this thing for 30 years.
Just ask Charlie Munger. He says openly he still doesn't know how to sell his stocks. He's 97 years old. He doesn't know how to sell? What the hell are you talking about? It's like...
yeah, that's hilarious. That's awesome.
It's also called crypto venereal disease.
Yeah, no, I heard that too. You know, the analogy that I really like is ask yourself, do you want to be someone that buys a stock at 5 and sells it at 650? Or do you want to be someone that buys a stock at 5 and sells it at 100? That's an easy question, right? Nobody wants the 650 when you have the 100. The problem is that you don't know if the stock's going to 100 unless you kind of figure it out. And the only way to do that is to use longer time frames. Like the move from 5 to 100 doesn't happen in a day. Doesn't happen in a 1 day chart or even a 60-minute chart or anything like that. It happens over the course of time. And it happens over the course of time, and you need that time in order for that move to materialize. So look, don't get me wrong, buying a stock at 5 and selling it at 650 and doing that in a matter of 20 minutes, like that's a really good start to a day. But I got other goals too. And I want to find the stocks that really, really go. And I need that time. I need the time and to be confident to hold it. Right. So I need to be aware of all these different time frames.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the thing we call it used to be somebody. And that's when you look at a chart of something that used to be a hell of a lot higher than it is now. And now it's coming back. And so oftentimes you look at it and be like, well, I remember when the NASDAQ started rallying back and going all the way back to 2000. Be like, all right. And people are like, oh, the NASDAQ's getting overbought. I'm like, well, all these things used to be a lot higher. And I'm like, so what you're telling me is what you're trying to tell me is that over 20 years or 15 years or 20 years, that these guys that were trading up there have had zero growth to be valued at that same price. All right. I don't do that. But what I'm telling you is that if they were willing to value it up there back then, they definitely could be willing to value it back up and do that again. All right. Because they've been making money for 15 years growing, and they already valued them up there. You can call it tech bubble all you want, but they've already done that. And that's one of the important things of what we've seen this year with the energy rally. I mean, you've had so many stocks for so long, be like new highs, new highs, new highs. And energy's has been in the dirt for so long and coming back. I'm like, well, oil isn't minus 36 anymore. It's 90. Right? And if you look at these charts, all of these guys have been much higher in the past, right? That's a good thing, right? These things have been valued higher, and they did it when oil was lower than 90. So, I don't like to rationalize that much to it, except the fact that they've been perceived as being more valuable at a time when they weren't, right? And therefore, we have our buy signals. And what we've been seeing as well is, I got a question with JJ who sits behind me. He's like the other day, and they were hitting utilities when the market was coming down. He's like, why are they hitting utilities? I'm like, because they're rotating into energy because they got the same type of yield, right? PXD is like 11 yield, so that you're always being mindful of how they're rotating in. And like I said, used to be somebody, this used to be way up there. And the fundamentals have not changed, or they're improving. So that gives you more confidence in the strat to say, still good, first down, right? Because people will get out without reversals. And I understand that, because, especially options traders, because you have to play the Greeks where you're going to say, all right, I need to take this gamma spike or my premium's going away. My premium's going away. I got to take this. And that's where that goes back to our magnitude. And, that's more of a day trading thing, but where our magnitude comes in on that is important, because you get that gamma spike that takes that to that magnitude, like I showed you on that compound 3 bar. You get your magnitude, and then you sell it, because you think the theta is going to kick in and burn you, right? And so I don't want to get too involved in option stuff, but because there's all different time frames, but that's certainly on the shorter time frame. But used to be somebody's important, because when we always look at least 4 time frames, when I do my research over the weekend, I'll have 4 time frames up, but I'll have 8 charts up. And the reason I do that is I want to have different length of bars, where I'll have 50 on 4 of them and 150 on the other ones, right? That way I can go look way back and say, okay, do I have it used to be somebody on the monthly, right? What does this look like? Because charting is all about perception, right? I can make almost any of the chart look good or bad.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that's oversold. I'm like, that's a 1-minute chart. Like, it's oversold in the 1 minute. Look at everything else, right? Yeah. So it has a lot to do with perception, and that's why the strat helps simplify that, where you can say straight out loud. I'm like, it's like, I think it's going to reverse. I'm like, what would it need to do that? It would need to go 2-2 there, right? That's what that would need to do, right? What is it doing now? It's 2 down. So you want to buy it now? No. Like, so if that works, then what exactly on the month? What's it doing? I'm like, look at Facebook month. I'm like, kill. Like, is that what a buy looks like to you? I'm like, you know, and people say, well, it's for my long-term account. I'm like, well, how long are you planning on living? This thing is nowhere near a reversal on the month. Nowhere near it, right? And that's why even Jermaine was like, oh, it's got to have at least on the week, right? It's like, at least let's start.
Give me a week. Yeah.
Build with something, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why we always say, too, we like nice long red and green bars. You know why? They tend to get longer and redder and greener, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, well, I can't chase now. I'm like, all right, well, put it this way. When you say chase, right? How about, you know, when you have that loser that you're getting killed and you say, I can't get out, and you don't, and you get absolutely destroyed? That's the move that you want to take advantage of, not get killed by. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Redder, right? Get out, short it, it's going down. Or, you know, guys trying to short things that are going up, and I'm like, it's Brett and Green. I'm like, oh boy, margin call, gentlemen. like exactly why it's like they get bigger, right? And if they don't get out, right? But that's when you'll see people say, oh, beast mode. And I'm like, are you in? Oh, no. I'm like, that's us. Who are you? Beast mode. We're in there. Let's go. Let's help the team, right? Let's help the team. We're buyers too. Like, everybody should be. It's kind of like the GameStop. It's like, it's GameStop. We're in. Hold the line. Let's go. No sell. Unless you have a reversal against you, then you get out.
Yeah, that's true. 100% true. Like, Facebook will probably come back one of these days. But when my month is red like this, since Rob's using strat hand and arm signals, here's my big red month, and then here's the next month. It's this tiny little stubby green month way down here. Nope, I still ain't touching it. I'm waiting for the 2-2 reversal up on the month. Then I'm like, okay, now we got a fighting chance. It's got to climb this wall of woe, but you know, now it's got a fighting chance, and I know where to put my stops. And if it works, awesome. Now I can hold this thing for long term in my portfolio, you know, doing cool things. But if I get stopped out, hey, I tried this, you know what I mean? And but how many people are trying to do the same thing with Tesla, and it's continuously going to the downside? So, you know, I love those monthly charts. I love those weekly charts. Like Rob said, weekly at a minimum. And then I'll get in there and then I'll work it. The only disappointing one I've had so far is FedEx. Get your stuff together, FedEx. Back on it.
Because I mean, and as things form, and we had the pandemic, and then we came into 2021, and I started doing the macro vid, and like all these people are like, what about Boeing? What about this? I'm like, that's going inside here almost for sure. Nothing until at least 22. And they're like, really? You can't trade that thing for a year? I'm like, well, it moves, but don't expect any big moves. You know, it's going inside on the year. And we knew that like the first day. And I was like, maybe in 2022, but not before then. No. You can have a macro signal.
Heck yeah. So we're getting to the point. I got to wrap this thing up, man. I definitely don't want to cut it short. We're definitely not cutting it short. This is a good one. We could talk about this all night long and all day long, all night long, whatever comes first for you, whatever time zone you are in. Ryan, I'm gonna pass the mic around. I'll give it to Ryan first. Ryan, any last final tips on or any experiences with the strat or any of your trading that you want to give one more time to the new traders, and then just any kind of just general protect yourself tips. What you got, Ryan? What you got?
I got
You've been with us for a while.
Yeah, I got a couple for you. So number one, and you can convey this in strat parlance if you want. Make sure you look to the left. Make sure you use your bigger time frames. I don't care if you're day trading. I don't, whatever. Make sure you're looking at what these things have done in the past. That's often going to show you what's capable of, even if you're not using them for support and resistance. Understand where the trend is, understand how this has behaved in the past, and understand that situation matters. What has happened in the past absolutely matters. Number two, just stop trying to be a hero. Don't try to grab bottoms. Don't try to grab tops. Wait for the confirmation. You got a 2-2 confirmation. If that's what you're doing, wait for the confirmation. There's an old saying, I think it's Chinese or something. Those who try to pick bottoms end up with stinky fingers. So just don't do it, right? Just don't do it. And then lastly, as far as like risk management's always going to be important. Emotions are always going to be important. Do something that you enjoy away from the screen. I cannot tell you how many times you are in this job, you're going to run into some bad days, and how you get over those bad days is going to define how you do better in the future. And one of the things that's really, really helped me is just being able to get away from the computer, even if it's for an hour or two at some point, breathe some fresh air, do something else, reset your mentals. Do not come to the market thinking that you know exactly what's going to happen and having your emotions out of control. If that is the case, you are bound to lose. I don't care what system you use, just you got to have your mentals in the right state. So take care of all that. Look to the left, use your bigger time frames. Don't try to be a hero, and make sure you have your emotions in check. Those would be my tips.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I might as well give that's really good. I like that. Those are good. It's like the Ghostbusters. Like he's like, stay fit, drink water, and make good decisions. That's good. That's a good one. Rob, anything else for the people out there? The new stratters, the vets. Who do you want to talk to? Last, what do you got for the people?
Well, first, I'd like to thank Ryan for coming on. It's done so much for us. Those interviews have done so much for so many people. So I want to thank him for doing that. That has been a big springboard for us. If you're new, watch those interviews. Watch the interviews, the Benzinga interviews he did. Watch the Weekend Shift here. You've had a lot of good traders on here. And as I say, somebody will resonate with you as opposed to what most people have listened to. And what I mean by that is, I make all this money and you should listen to me on my trades. I'm like, no. How come you're in a chat room with a guy that says he makes all this money, but you're not making anything? All right? That's worthless information. All right? And you'll see people say, well, I told you to buy. I'm like, you didn't tell me why. And you didn't tell me where a stop was. And you didn't tell me where it was going. Right? So don't listen to these browbeaten guys. You need to listen to people that are going to resonate with you, that makes sense. The strat makes sense. And all the different people that have been interviewed have, like Ryan said, have a different program as far as the strat's concerned. And so once you find your groove, the good thing about the strat is you can always expand and do more and say, okay, well, this is my sweet spot. This is what I do. All right. And I make a living and I make a good living doing this. Right. And say, okay, at that point, you might say, okay, now there's a little bit more of the strat I want to do. Now I want to do some options. Now I want to do this. But stay in your sweet spot. Listen to the people that make sense to you. Right. That can help you execute properly, because that's one of the most important things you can do. Your risk management. Why am I doing this? Where is it going to go if I do it? Right. And that it makes sense to you. Just as makes sense. And because the strat is very repetitive. And what I mean by that, there's only 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's all it can be. And so when you follow this, be like, and I say this all the time in the power, I'm like, you can be a one-trick pony. That's it. Like, all I do is 2-2-60 reversals. That's it. That's all I do. I'm 2-2-60 reversal guy, right? I'm 3-1-2 daily guy. That's all I do. And that's fine, right? It's like, we're not trying to prove to the world that we're great at everything. What we're trying to do is make money, right? And we want to do that in a comfortable space.
Yes.
Saying that I don't want to sit here and be 20 years in and still white knuckling every trade, right? I want to have confidence. When I go in, this is where it's going. And if it doesn't, I'm out, right? Period, right? And so I can't stress that enough, but certainly listen to people that make sense to you, not people that are telling you how much money they make, all right? That's irrelevant to you, right? What's relevant to you is, does it make sense? And can you make it work? Does it make sense? And can you make it work for you? And that's it. So on that note, thanks again, Ryan, for coming out, and thanks for having me on, Jermaine.
Heck yeah.
I will say it is my pleasure. I enjoyed every single one of those interviews. I anticipate this will not be the last one either. I am always available. Rob, we both live in Chicago. We'll be doing some more of these. Don't worry about it. It was my pleasure. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you much. Thank you so much. It was fun, Rob. Thanks for, I know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for being on here. I'm going to talk to the people and tell them a little bit more stuff. But for my last thing, I do this every Saturday. For my last thing, I'm telling you, keep those stops tight. And the market changes. Like you heard me when I was talking to Dan Trinspider, when the month of SPY was green on the month for the last few months, and you guys were firing over here, you could get away with doing those 1 minute trades, those 5 minute trades, those crazy 15-minute things. You're out there, storming the beach with your rifle, doing all these things, all these crazy things. But now the SPY is inside month red. You need to be able to take your weapon and adjust fire. We're going over here, or it's time to take my take my rifle, go back to the headquarters, get cleaned up. I need to sit out. Either you adjust fire or you sit out and you wait for your prime battlefield. You know what I mean? And I know that's a little army analogy for you, but that's what you need to do. Either adjust fire or sit out, go get cleaned up and wait. So I'm going to talk to the rest of the people. I'm going to let you guys go.
All right.
Take care.
Heck yeah. Hey, if you want to be in here with us, with Rob, and Sip Your Group, with the forums, with Sip Your Social, with Michael Dang. I'm telling you, Michael Dang's been doing some awesome stuff in Sip Your Group, and it's only getting better. You can get with me in the strat. You use a promo code StratSoldier2022. That's going to get you 3 months. The first 3 months, $99 a month for the first 3 months. Okay, that's going to get you through the rest of earnings. Get in there with Rob, be in the chat, learn what buys and sells look like. Okay, get in the forums. The participation in the forums is picking up. That's awesome. Lots of good information in there. Shout out to Rob C, JS, Sunshine. You guys are in there answering questions. That's amazing. And even if it's on those hard days, yes, there are times when trading is hard. And you guys are in the forums. You guys are talking to each other, and you're saying, "Hey, I understand. Stay off the 1 minutes for a little bit." You know what I mean? Just for a little bit. And then when the market changes, you can go back to those 1 minutes. Okay. Get in there with us. So anyway, Strat Soldier 2022 for you guys that trade percentages, that's 50% off. Again, get in there with Rob, learn this stuff for real. And, there's a lot of good information in the forums. We got courses out there, and be careful with learning the strat on the street. Okay. You can do it for a little bit, but come to us and we'll show you how to do it for real. This is Strat Soldier with the weekend shift. Thank you so much for being there. This is great. I wish I could keep going. I had so much fun. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.